4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the September 17th, 2019 meeting of the Milton Conservation Commission. We have two orders of formality. The first is we invite everyone to speak, ask questions, make comments, but we also ask that you come forward, use a microphone, and identify yourself. The second matter of formality is we introduce ourselves.
Judith Darrell Kemp.
My name is John Kiernan.
Hans Van Lingen.
Alpha Doyle.
Ingrid Beatty.
Wendy Garpo.
And Steve Ivas, Conservation Agent.
First on the agenda is the Enforcement Order 75 Edge Hill Road. That's the Cunningham Foundation. Gentlemen, can you come forward and join us?
Make any difference?
No, I don't think so, as long as you use a mic.
Okay.
And I should have mentioned, we've got a magic tape recorder here that we record the proceedings and
Magic
yes, it is magic. It works, it still works. So that's the magic. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Dave Walgren. I'm the park manager.
Mike Lonier, the foreman at the park.
And Bruce Alexander, the chairman, would have been here, but he had another engagement tonight.
Thank you. Welcome, and for the benefit of the public, this is an enforcement order that relates to some soils that were deposited in two areas of the park, and we'd ask that under the enforcement order that be removed, because it does cause some problems with the trees, because some of the roots have been buried and those trees will die. One of them is actually obviously already dead. So we'd ask you to remove that, and maybe you could give an explanation or a sort of a remediation plan from your perspective.
I'll let Mike speak. He's the foreman.
Okay.
First of all, we didn't realize that it was a wetlands area that the soil was deposited in, but we will comply to whatever the board recommends, whatever the Conservation Commission wants us to do. We want to be good neighbors.
Do we have pictures of this?
Yes.
That we can put up on the...
I'm sorry, I can't put them up on the screen.
Oh,
Or maybe,
I don't know if you could do it from this. These are the
from
pictures.
that, hang on a second. I may be able to do something here. If I can see my screen.
And a subcommittee of the Conservation Commission was present about, what, 3 weeks ago?
Yes.
And we did do an observation. I think Steve was there, Arthur, Hans, I was there. It was following a public meeting, and so we did see the location and the clearly evidence of wetlands from both the soils. Actually, Steve did a digging, a soils test, right?
Actually, Hans helped quite a bit.
He did. So I don't think there's any question that it's a wet area. There are two locations. One is on the Fuller's Lane side, and the other one's on the opposite side, closest to the Victory Gardens. Apparently that was soil that was excavated when the old ball field was renovated and made into a new ball field.
The Little
have you
League.
seen the pictures? Do you know what we're talking about?
Oh, no, but
Do you want to see?
I know the site.
You know
in
the
other words.
site.
Yeah. Let me just see if the pictures have. The Little League restored that Little League field on Edge Hill. And at that time, they dug up all the loam and so forth to redo the whole field. And we talked, Mike and I, and these were two big holes that had been there for years and years. And we thought it would be practical to put the loam in there. And not knowing anything about that it'd be wetlands, in other words, it never had been designated to us that it was
Yeah,
wetlands.
never been specified as wetlands.
So we didn't know that, and so whatever you say, we'll comply.
That's great. And I should just make a comment for the public. There's this huge respect among members and citizens of the town for the Cunningham Foundation and all it does. So I know we're in good hands when you say you'll remove it. We know you will.
And
Steve, and you may have some comments, or others may as well, in terms of how it's removed, because we
Yeah.
do worry about some heavy machinery in the wetlands. Do you have a suggestion as
First
to?
of all, what is it? It's soil? Is it topsoil?
It's topsoil, yeah.
It's topsoil?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a lot of small stones mixed in as well. So it's
It's about, what, 3 feet worth of, you can see it going up.
Probably deep as 3 feet, right. So my suggestion is to use small equipment first and then finish up with hand raking.
Can they put it in someplace else on the property to like fill in over?
Whatever they like, as long
Yeah.
as it's 100 feet away from a wetland.
Yeah.
So I guess what we'll have to do is identify where, where we could place it.
Sure.
We have a couple of areas that would probably work, as long as someone from, if you'd
I'd be happy to
advise
assist.
Yeah, if it's clean fill, there's no reason to
Right,
have to take it off the site or anything, just put it someplace else more.
So just give me a call when
The
you're
sooner
ready.
the better. We'll maybe figure something out next week. Do you have
Sure.
time? Okay.
Sure.
Will there be something in writing, specifications as to how much we should take out? Because we're probably going to hire a contractor to take care
Well,
of it.
you should provide that, actually. You folks should provide that to us, telling us exactly how much you're gonna take out and how. That's what good planning is. We can suggest only, but it's
Well, you have to
better-
restore the area to what it was previously.
Exactly. And
So if
there's
there
a-
was an indentation in the soil, that should come back.
There's a way to find that original soil layer. Usually you have an O horizon at the top. It's called the organic horizon. And that's usually a dark black horizon, especially in wetlands. Okay, so you really need a technical specialist to assist, in planning what you're going to do. I think that would be good. We shouldn't dictate means or methods.
No, we should not, but I'd like to make a comment, though. Some contractors are good, some contractors are not good.
That's
And
right.
we've seen so many places where they'll go in with a small front-end loader, and they'll just scar the trees beyond recovery, just because they get too close, and, they're asked to go close. That's why, when you're around the trees, if you bury the roots of the tree, the tree's gonna die. So you have to take some of that down. That will have to be done by hand. I don't mean, all the way out to the extent of the fill, but just in the area around the tree, simply to keep the machinery away from the tree. Because we've got untold stories of trees being damaged and wetlands being damaged by equipment.
At least keep the equipment at least 6 feet away from the trees. That's, I would like to go. That's a good,
I don't think that'll be a problem. I think basically it all can come from the edge. The machine can come from the edge.
yeah, and.
I mean, there's no
start-
reason to drive in there with the machine. I mean, I don't think,
Yeah, you could start at the farthest edge and bring it
Yes.
back toward the,
Yeah,
toward
absolutely.
the roadway.
Yep.
Right, that's the way to do it. Okay,
As you going down that driveway, the right-hand side is fine going up the hill. Cars park in there and so on down the line. The left-hand side, though, is a pretty small shoulder,
yes.
and what we might want to consider is leaving some fill there that isn't in the wetland to give a better shoulder, particularly as cars are coming in and out of there at the same time. That's something that I think would make good sense, again, if it's outside the wetland.
That's a good idea concept-wise. The problem is they'd have to figure out where the wetland stops and where the upland
Agreed.
starts.
Agreed.
And that makes it a little bit more difficult. And we can provide, some assistance, but
Yes.
I'm not sure we're in a position to designate. I mean, Hans, you've been there, and what do you think about Arthur's? We were all there. We were there together.
I'm not sure the material would compact well to keep as a shoulder.
It's already
So-
compacted. It's been there a couple of years.
As water hits it,
Eroded.
spread,
Okay.
so
yeah.
it might just be better off to find an upland location and yeah. It's just the shoulder improvement as a separate
Right.
suggestion.
Well, for the future, would it be good to have a better idea of where the wetlands are on the property so that people will know? I mean, I don't want expenses coming along unnecessarily, but, so it doesn't happen again.
So you want someone to come and identify where all the wetlands in the park are?
Yeah, or to have a general idea so you would know.
I think
That's
we
a
can-
pretty aggressive, that's a lot of, what's the acreage?
140?
Yeah.
That's a lot of acreage.
I think-
It sure
I can
is.
certainly take a walk with them.
I think what would be much more helpful is if you identify a spot that in the future, if you do run into the situation where you have excess material, where you can put it and stockpile it, and so, we have a level of assurance that, you're not going to accidentally fill an inappropriate hole.
That's a much better suggestion, I think.
Yeah, that's a lot easier, and you could do that, expedite that and facilitate it. And
Is that something someone on this committee would do? Let us know.
I'd be happy to assist.
We'd
Yes.
appreciate that we can expedite what we want to do
Sure.
to solve this
Not
problem.
a problem, we can do that. Try to
Okay.
keep it 100 feet away from any existing wetlands, and we'll go from there.
And then you'll be able to utilize that spot going forward to stockpile material if you need to.
Fair enough.
Thank you, Steve.
Any other questions from commissioners? Are there any abutters or members of the public that have a question?
There was, there was one or two abutters that did come up to us while we were out there in the area in the back.
That's on Fuller's
Fuller's
Lane
Lane,
side,
sorry.
right.
About the
Flooding.
the flooding issue, so I think what might be happening is because of the material that's now filling that area, there's more water maybe going across the street.
Instead of going into the wetland that's directly there.
Yeah, so it's just something that
We can
that
talk
was
about that.
brought to us, and
We can talk about that on
mention it
site as well. I'd be
Yeah.
happy to show them what's going on
But
there as well.
hopefully, once you get the material out, it'll fix that problem.
Yeah, just like I said, if you combine, just give us a,
Right in the gutter on that side, on the south side of the gutter, that's what's going on there.
All right, any other comments or suggestions, questions? With that, then there'll be a meeting within a week with Steve, and then we can move forward and get the debris removed. Sure. Terrific, thank you.
call first of the week, and then we'll set something up when you have time.
Yep,
All right,
that'd be great.
okay,
Shall do.
all right, thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Dave,
But,
I have your number.
okay, yeah,
Okay,
it's the main Cunningham number.
yep, yep.
Number 2 on the agenda is request for determination of applicability. This is 700 Canton Avenue.
Did you get a copy of this one?
Did they take
It
the
was
file?
in the- That material
Steve, did they give you the pictures back again, or
still
did they take
molded
it?
with the...
No.
I'm not sure, but we can certainly print them out again.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, I understand what you're saying. I figured if they-
Yes, sir. Absolutely, put them right in. Yep.
They'd have to do that.
Steve, can you remember that? Because I think they did.
I will,
It's not here in the
I'm writing it
agenda.
down in my book.
Perfect.
Print out another copy.
Hey, good evening, Jim. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Certainly. My name is Jim Burke. I'm a consultant with the Selberg Salo offices here in Quincy, Massachusetts, here representing the new owners of 700 Canton Avenue. There was a recent site walk that I did not attend, but Jim DeSalle, who prepared this package, attended that, and there was a notification, I'm told, that installing a new fence, as shown in the plan, that was attached to the RDA. It's within a 100-foot buffer, and it was believed that an RDA would be sufficient to control the construction of this within the jurisdiction. We're looking to really get a negative determination, but with conditions in the sense that we certainly could put up some erosion control and the like to make sure that the small amount of excavation needed to install the posts is controlled.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
suggestion. There is a catch basin along the side of the roadway that is no longer accepting stormwater from the roadway. I think the catch basin's somewhere right in here. In
Yeah.
fact, it's right there.
Yeah.
I would suggest that we just add a condition that when they're digging posts, they actually dig a small trench from the roadway into the catch basin. Does that make sense, Jim?
Certainly. I mean, is it, how long of a trench? How deep?
It's literally 4 feet.
Oh, okay.
And maybe a couple of inches.
Yeah.
The soil has been added to along that
Oh, I
side of
see.
the roadway.
Okay.
So it's no longer connected
Sure.
to
That's the
the,
rear culvert, right?
that's correct. to the street.
So, yeah, I'd say that was more than reasonable.
Yeah, that's all.
Steve, would you indicate where Canton Ave is on this? Or where the,
Canton Ave is here. It's this area, and then the small street, it's, what's it called?
Birchwood?
Oh, Mergewood.
Mergewood, yes, Mergewood is right there.
And where is the catch basin?
The catch basin is literally right there. See? And there's a small pipe that goes straight up underneath Mergewood,
We're
right
standing.
over to there. And there's a small wetland on the other side, Judith?
Yes.
You remember that perhaps
Yes.
from before?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just, it's saying a wooden fence, is it actually wooden or is it plastic?
It's wooden.
It is wooden, okay.
Yep.
All right, but you have not filed the RDA.
No, we filed the RDA. You have the RDA. We notified abutters. We're looking for if you guys are looking for a positive determination to file a notice of intent, we certainly can, but, I think given the limited amount of work proposed, I think we can control it with the application submitted.
There's
I have-
really just a few fence posts,
Right.
poles, and that's it.
I think that one of the issues that came up at the site walk, which was a public meeting, is that we did vote to impose a fine.
Yes, and we have received the check.
Wow,
That's what I said,
How much is the fine?
$5,000.
there were very significant differences between the order of conditions and the as-built that we never got. But it's obvious, we didn't need an as-built because it was a drain, essentially a foundation drain. It was not put in, the driveway was moved. There were all kinds of changes to our order of conditions.
And the fine is relative to the previous owner.
Yeah, so it's not, the
Right.
new owners are,
Try to do things right.
right, so there was an escrow component. And that, we had two components. We tried to tie it to other fines that we've done. There was an elevation change in the height of the top of the foundation, and we, went back to 11 Reed Street, and we had I think a $3,000 fine there. So we tried to match it so that we're uniform, and then we had the other violations, so that we determined that
Realignment of the driveway.
yes.
Exactly. The driveway was supposed to go out to Canton Ave. It's now going to
Correct.
Ridgewood.
Yep.
Who did all that work?
I would imagine the contract from the owners. We laid out the foundation, did an as-built to the foundation, and that was the extent of our work for the project.
But the new owner is clearly eager to get everything back into compliance, so
Yes.
it's good.
So that component of the enforcement order is done.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, and that's been deposited into the revolving fund?
It's already.
Okay. And again, that's not on the new owners, so
Right.
they should appreciate that we appreciate that it's not on them. And so we have seen it. In fact, I think we
I saw a copy of the check this morning.
did it clear.
I don't know.
Sorry.
That's a good question.
Yeah, but I'm comfortable, having been to the site, we did across Mergewood. We were up there, 5 or 6 years ago, so we did that wetland ourselves. And I think we were comfortable with the location of the wetland there. So I think a negative determination on an RDA would be appropriate with the
-3
conditions.
with conditions.
With the conditions.
And the condition is at least, a trench to the catch basin from the street. Any other
Agreed.
conditions you suggest?
That'd be a wooden fence.
Wooden
And-
fence.
and the distinction being that I have found with the plastic, it can get a shock and pieces break off and then it becomes trash and it doesn't
Exactly.
break down. Or at least wood, if it starts to break, it will, disintegrate. So it's not trash near
And
the
go back
wetland.
into the environment versus
Exactly.
microplastics everywhere
Right,
else.
right.
I agree entirely.
And the other, and Jim, you'd know the regular, what we call the boilerplate conditions, that any equipment for the installation of the fence would not be stored,
I think your boilerplate conditions would be appropriate, for this particular job. I don't expect to have a lot of, hydraulic equipment being used, other than,
an auger.
material delivery and that kind of thing. But, that'd be certainly agreeable.
Okay.
So there's two fences. There's a wooden fence, I just folded up my plan there. And then there's something called a decorative fence. Do you know what that is made out of?
That piece, I believe, is outside the buffer.
Is it?
It looks like a stone wall.
I thought he referred to the whole thing as a decorative fence.
Just behind the stone wall.
Where did I see it?
Oh, decorative, that's 60 feet, linear feet in the buffer. So that's closer to the house. I think that is more, that's a lower fence that's not intended for screening for the
dog.
and the traffic on the roadway, yeah.
So do you know, is it metal or something else?
He's looking at,
Oh,
I'm trying to get details on the fence right now.
right.
Okay.
We could just say wooden fences.
Sure, that's a condition.
Yeah.
As a
Just put it
condition.
As a condition.
Sure.
All right. Any other questions from commissioners? Members of the public about us? Any comments, questions? Thoughts?
I'd like
Guidance?
to know exactly. My name is William Schaefer,
Yes, sir.
and I am one of the abutters of the land. My property is at 684 Campton Avenue, and I was the original owner of the lot that Dan and Sharon Johnson have purchased. And I was just, nobody had actually notified me except the cell by letter telling me about the hearing.
Well, he's obligated to do that, so.
Yes, he is, but I thought my neighbor would at least have the courtesy to speak to me and let me know what was going on and introduce themselves to me. I don't even know who they are even at this time.
You're supposed to walk over with a loaf of bread and a bottle of wine and say, welcome to the neighborhood.
Well, actually, I don't know if they even moved in, because sometimes when we go by, there are no lights on, and then once in a while, there's a car there, and I don't even know if they're living there as of this moment. But I was wondering if that fence was going to divide the property line of my home.
And you are directly adjacent to the,
Right.
further up Mergewood. Yes, the fence itself goes, if you look, it comes off the garage this way, runs along this property, comes along here, along here, and then back in. So
Could you do that again?
sure. It runs from here, this corner here, I believe, then into this property line, along here, along this back edge, along Canton Ave, along Mergewood, and then back into the house.
So it goes
there
the
are
whole
two-
length from Mergewood to the access lane?
Sometimes it's easier
Yep,
to
there
see
you
it
go.
here.
Yeah, correct.
So it comes
So
from
it's
here.
all in red. Oh, I'm sorry, it doesn't go along here. It's,
Starts at the back of the house.
yep, just the back.
That's a dog fence.
So it ties in, I guess that's existing?
Wait a minute, now is this, oh,
You're here.
I'm here. Okay. Okay, that's myself, okay. So it's going to actually enclose pretty much the whole land.
Correct.
Not completely.
Not really.
Well, I haven't really,
This is open here, I believe. This whole corner is open, so the fence will stop there
Right.
and here.
yeah. Well, I know that the Mergewood Lane and the people that live down there, I can't speak for any of them, but I've been there for over 40 years, maybe 43, 44 years. And most of the people that live there like the wooded area and the natural beauty of Mergewood Lane, even though it's considered Canton Avenue by the town. And when I sold the property, I sold it to the Rooneys. And I was only able to get this piece of land approved by the town because the entrance was going to be on Canton Avenue.
You are correct.
And there was nobody that could build on Mergewood Lane because it was not an approved road, and it had no lights. And that catch basin that you were talking about actually belonged to myself because we had our own water and it went down to that catch basin.
Okay, sure.
And then when the town, when Mr. Lane was the water commissioner or so, put in new water and a new road, they asked if I wanted to hook in with new lines because mine was about 25 years old, and I said, okay. So that is, whatever it's catching is just catching water that's seeping in. But I really am not in favor of this because I myself, along with most of the other people that are there, like the natural beauty of the trees and the environment that's there.
We're only talking about a fence, right? They're not removing trees.
I understand
Okay.
that, but it's closing, it doesn't have that open look, that natural beauty. And, I feel it's like destroying that particular setting.
I understood. Can I point out one
I don't know what's the purpose of the fence is.
I think they have pets.
Well, she has, I don't know if it's completely enclosed, but there, in the backyard, I noticed that there was a metal, like wrought iron fence. And that's certainly adequate to keep a pet in, and you could have an open look. The same way that they build buildings downtown. You have an open look, but you keep the original facade. And the original facade of that area is that open look. If they want to close a fence to keep pets in, you could do that.
Can I interrupt you for a minute? Because our jurisdiction is going to stop at a certain distance from the wetlands, and I'm not sure. I thought we had on the map at the site, I thought we had a line on here, but I can't see it.
It's indicated in red on the plan.
No, it's not right on this
The
plan.
fence that, yeah, they filled the jurisdictional part for that.
Oh, that, you mean the red fence? Okay, so our jurisdiction
It's right here.
only goes to here, and what it's doing is it's measuring, oh, here it is here.
It's
See,
there.
it's hard to read. Can you see this?
Light gray line.
100-foot wetland buffer. So we're measuring from these flags here are wetland flags that we set years ago when we were working on this piece of property here. So you measure 100 feet from here, that's this line that runs right here. So our jurisdiction is only over here where my hand and arm is. So this fence is actually outside of our jurisdiction, and we only pick up jurisdiction when the fence is in red. So this section falls within our jurisdiction. This
that
fence
section has to be wood.
does not.
The rest doesn't.
That makes sense, Dan?
No, we just said.
Yes. The other thing is, if on Mergewood Lane, I don't know if you
Yeah.
contacted Berger Werner. Well, as I understood it since I've been there, is that Mergewood Lane, I think it's 15 feet or so many feet to the left and so many feet to the right, is owned by Mr. Werner. And I don't know if that's infringing upon his property. He owns that land on each side of the road on Mergewood Lane. And
That I don't know about. We're operating on the basis that this site plan, and Jim, this is your site plan, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you've indicated the property line, which is the dark,
Right. We did the subdivision as well for Mr. Schaefer as well.
yes, you did.
Yep.
so then,
Right.
And
that's the
Larry,
guy.
Yeah. Larry,
mine in Randolph when I lived there.
yeah.
All right, so as far as I know, this fence is completely within the property lines. Is that correct, Jim?
That's absolutely correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we're showing it that way. It's not installed yet, but I would,
Well, I think you should speak to Mr. Werner, because that land, as I say, on both sides of
Is he in a
Mergewood Lane
butter?
belongs to him.
He must be in
think
a
you
butter
know
if
that.
the land is his.
I mean, the fence itself is delineating the lot and not, encroaching or off-site whatsoever, so,
Is he in a butter?
I don't see him on the
Not listed.
plan.
He's not.
the thing is, as far as jurisdiction goes with the fence, even if the entire lot was within the 100-foot buffer, people have, some people don't like the open look, I guess. I mean, all I'm saying is that they have a right to put a fence up within, within the zoning bylaws of Milton, and obviously within the Wetlands Protection Act and the Wetlands Bylaw for Milton as well.
And Mr. Schaefer, you may wish to speak with your neighbor individually to tell him what your plan was for when you sold the property. He
Well,
doesn't know that, of course.
Did they receive notification from yourself?
The owners?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they know I'm here, absolutely.
Not the owners of this property, the owners,
Oh, yes, well, all the owners within 300 feet of the
Yes.
property have been notified, and I just handed in,
that's not all of them, because that would just cover myself, because I have another acre.
That's the legal requirement, sir.
I
There's a legal
understand it, but
requirement,
it
so-
might be infringing upon Mr. Werner's property. And-
No, it's not, because this is on their personal lot, private lot property.
So that 300
The
feet.
fence that's proposed is not on anybody else's property but the Johnson's property.
Okay,
This is the land surveyor who has a stamp there. He has to prove where the property lines are and where the fence is. That's what he does for a living.
we have a long history on this lot, as you
Right.
know, Mr. Schaefer.
Right.
Jim, how high is the fence? How
6
tall
feet.
is it? 6 feet.
So you
I'm
may
still
wish-
not in favor of it because of
Well, you
the,
may wish to talk to your neighbor and tell him that. He
That-
has no idea as to the previous history of the land.
Maybe he could make it shorter.
Yeah.
Possibly, and that way it wouldn't be as obtrusive,
Right,
if it's a
that's
little
all.
shorter.
He doesn't know anything about history.
You might say to him, how about 4 feet instead, and then it wouldn't, have the impact that you're concerned about.
Or a more open fence rather than a stockade fence.
Yes, for sure.
But this commission doesn't have jurisdiction after that 100-foot line. There's a 100-foot line on his property which ends right about here, which is only about a quarter way into the property. So this commission doesn't have any jurisdiction over the rest of the
So,
property.
for the majority of the fence, actually.
Right. And that's what we're trying to explain.
well, I probably never would have sold the land if I felt that this was going to be that way.
Understood.
Because that's not the type of look that myself or the people living there,
Right,
I
but
think most of the people living there, I can't,
he doesn't know that. He doesn't know a thing about why you sold the property or what you envisioned for the future. How does he know?
And
Yeah, he literally bought the house a couple of months ago.
Right, this is a brand-new person, but I think you know that. You sold the land to somebody else that built a house.
Right.
Right.
Right, this is a subsequent owner.
Right.
That's
So
correct.
he's the new guy in town.
He doesn't
Yeah.
know. He doesn't know a thing about your desire or the desires of anyone on Mergewood. He has no connection to Mergewood unless you go over and knock on the door and bring him that wine and bread and cheese. I'm serious, sir.
Yeah, no,
It's the only
I
way
brought
to be a
it to the
neighbor.
Roonies, but they never even acknowledged it.
Well,
Maybe
there are
these guys
some
would.
people who accept neighbors and some people who don't.
Are there any other thoughts, questions, comments? Yes, sir.
What's that?
I'll let the Johnsons know that you're concerned, and we'll reach out to you as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, hi. My name is John Regan. My address is 18 Old Farm Road, and I am in a butter. I don't have any objection to the fence, but just wanted to offer a point of clarification, which is consistent with what Mr. Schaefer was saying. Can I use your?
Sure.
Can I sit here so I can hear?
Yeah, have a seat.
I just press this?
Yep.
do I do
It's, I think it's running out of battery, but
Here, use this one instead then. There's a little button at the end there.
Yeah, okay. This is the first time that I've seen these plans. One of the things about the notice is you don't get the plans, so.
Right.
My property is right here. It's on Old Farm Road.
yes, sir.
And as my understanding is that the fence in question, which is within the buffer, is right here. It's
Correct.
perpendicular to Canton Avenue.
Right.
And it also cuts the corner, and some of it's on Canton Avenue.
Okay. And I fully understand that you have a jurisdictional limitation here, and you're not the planning board, all right? But I was at the hearing when Mr. Schaefer got the approval for the subdivision, I think by the planning board. How many years ago was that?
Yeah,
Oh, it was a while ago.
just
A while.
about 5 years ago.
A while. And my understanding at the time was that there was because this was a beautiful, completely wooded lot. It was really quite a striking lot. And my understanding was it was going to be developed, and there was certainly legal right to do that, but that the owner was going to have the kind of screening that you see now on Canton Avenue, that it was also going to be done on at least these two runs of the property line. And I was, obviously, from my self-interest, I was most concerned about this little corner here, because what had been a beautiful wooded lot, now I'm sort of looking at the back of a house with the things that are at the back of a house. So the owner, in my view, the first owner, not the current owner, did a very nice job with the screening right near Canton Avenue. But for whatever reason, I don't think followed through with respect to this area here. I think it was Robert Frost who wrote the poem Mending Walls. Began by saying, something there is that doesn't like a wall.
Right.
And I think his ending was, good fences make good neighbors. So what I would suggest is,
Theoretically.
not as a condition, because you don't have the power to do this, I think, but that the surveyor carry back to his client the sense of me, and perhaps what I understood Mr. Schaefer to be saying, that while the lot, of course, can't go back to what it was, having screening that deals with this line
In the rear line.
and that line, some kind of evergreen or arborvitae, something which is a four-season plant, would go a long way, I think, toward dealing with the issue that Mr. Schaefer raised, and certainly would take care of sort of the sight line that I have in here.
Do you have wine and bread as well?
Say again? Wine and bread? Sure, we could arrange that.
No, I can certainly.
I think the issue
I
about fences and neighbors is a reciprocal obligation. all
Sure.
right? It's not a one-way street, and I understand that.
Right, and I certainly can carry that message back to our client, the current owner.
And I think, that kind of a screening would also help their property be screened from looking at my backyard, which they may find equally offensive. All right?
Fair enough.
Okay?
Excellent.
All right, thank you for your comments and suggestions.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions from abutters and members of the public? Any other comments?
That I could,
What's that?
this isn't for myself, but us.
If you would like that, you may have it.
Well, to show the neighbor.
You may have it.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
If you didn't know, well, let me know.
I'm good. That did not come from the file. That was my copy. That's good. So we've got jurisdictional limitations. Taking to heart many of the comments made by Mr. Schaefer, I think it's a good suggestion to sort of correspond with the applicant. But having said that, we have jurisdictional limitations. I think they've complied with what we requested. The special condition, including Steve's suggestion that there be a trench from the catch basin to the roadway, is appropriate. No storage of hydraulic equipment or refueling overnight in the resource area or the buffer zone. But other than that, I would suggest a negative determination.
And all the fences be made of wood and not plastic.
Of course, yes. Right, and that was a point that you made
Yeah.
appropriately. And for the public's benefit, please keep in mind that the changes in the original design that was approved have been addressed by the fine. There was a $5,000 fine paid by the prior owner through an escrow account because of the changes, one of which was just mentioned by Mr. Reagan, that the driveway was supposed to be on Canton Avenue, not Ridgewood, and they just switched it. So we have addressed that, and there's a fine that the funds have been received by the town. With that said, is there a motion to approve a negative determination with the conditions that we've stated?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor? All right, good. Good to
Thank you
go.
very much.
Thank you. Going anywhere, or are you staying here? Thank you very much, Mr. Schaefer and Mr. Reagan.
You're staying around, but,
Let me give you my,
Yeah, sure, actually, I'm getting back out.
Number 3 on the agenda is notice of intent, 693 to 711 Randolph Avenue. This is a continued hearing.
Yep.
Okay.
should be a short discussion.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome. Could you introduce yourselves and tell us where we are? We've received a lot of information, although we just received it Wednesday?
Friday.
Friday? Okay. So please, proceed.
Paul Holland, I'm the developer.
Welcome, sir.
Jim Burke, DeSalle Burke Saller, I'm the civil engineer.
Brian Levy, Beverage and Diamond, counsel to the applicant.
Welcome. I guess the first thing is, it would be very, very beneficial if you could kind of walk us through this.
Sure.
I have started this, but I have not gone all the way through it, and with the this that I'm referring to is a great deal of information, and with the backup, it's even more extensive that we received on Friday. So I don't know if everyone's had a chance to start or finish or whatever.
Not even opened.
Okay, it's not open.
And I totally understand. It took me a while to compile that information as well. So I apologize for getting it to you guys late, and I appreciate the opportunity to explain to what you're looking at. The letter, transmittal letter, kind of addresses the letter that we received at the last hearing, and tries to provide the information that you were requesting. So attachment 1 is basically the site plans that are up on the screen, and in the revisions that were generated from the changes of the HydroCAD calcs based on my review of the original submission and how it applies to current wetland regulations caused the change in calculations and also the change in plans. And I'll explain that further. The original calculations that were submitted with the original notice of intent were using a technical paper number 40 rainfall frequency curves, which is the old curves. the new curves that the wetland regs require now is the NOAA, hang on,
Cornell?
the Cornell study. Yeah, the NOAA, they call it Atlas 14 precipitation frequency curves. But it is the Cornell study. So I ran those numbers through the proposed stormwater management systems, and I was getting some results that would not meet the standards that are set forth in the Wetlands Protection Act, meaning that the two-year storm was running too much when compared to the existing flows.
Both flow and volume?
Yes.
2 year?
Yeah, actually, I think it was just flow.
Flow.
Yeah, because we recharge so much. So, what that caused is the increase of the detention basin here, down by the entrance. So it went from 57 feet to 65 feet, and then the outlet controls.
57 to 65, that's a huge difference, isn't it?
You're talking about the elevation of the outlet of
No,
the
no,
basin?
no. Well, that changed slightly by a couple inches. I'm talking about the length. So it went from 57 feet long, I added 8 feet.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can you
So-
show where that is one more time, please?
So,
Where it is?
right here, the entrance. So,
Is that a detail on another sheet, Jim, by any chance?
yeah, I think if you look at the sheet, keep going. Oh,
Do you have a number on that?
There.
it should be blue.
It should be blue, okay.
Oh, there you go.
Is that blue?
Is there a
Yeah,
number
it's
on
a little light blue.
Right.
It's right in here.
Carolina blue.
So the sizes of the other basins stayed exactly the same.
Let me zoom in so people can see that. Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
So it's a rectangular basin?
correct.
Okay, right there.
Which sheet is that?
Do you have a sheet number on that?
Sheet,
Let me just take a look and I'll see. Can you read that, what sheet that is?
6?
Okay.
say 5.
Yep. Got it.
What you're saying is the length of the basin increased.
Correct, by 8 feet.
Okay.
So what I had to do is since the volume itself increased the depth of the flow and increased the flow out of the basin because of that, so I had to spread the flow out a little bit more.
Sure.
And so I had to increase the size of the basin.
Okay.
And the only other changes that were made were to the outlet control structures, that the face, and if you go to sheet 9, I think, I can show you that quick.
Okay. Should be 7.
I think it's the second detail sheet.
Less detail perhaps? Yeah.
Okay, so this guy, and if you zoom out a little, Steve.
Mode?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so these guys right here.
Right here.
These little circles.
Yep.
They're the end caps of 30-inch HDPE pipes. Those are what controls the flows for the 2, the 10, the 25, and 100-year storm events. Those orifices changed in elevation in size ever so slightly.
What were they previously?
Not on, yeah. And that's basically,
This is 10 of 13. So did they increased, or were they increased in size, or what did the...
I didn't have to increase the size in any other basin except the one down by
Randolph Avenue.
by Randolph Ave. All the other ones, I stayed the same, and I could control the flows with just altering the
size
the
of-
outlet control.
Size of the orifice.
Size and placement of the orifice.
Right.
And so the placement of the orifice, did it increase elevation or?
And actually, for the 2-year, yes, but as this whole site came together with different times of concentration, et cetera, some of them increased in size and stayed at the same elevation. And then actually, some of them decreased in elevation to take advantage of a 10-year flow as compared to a 25-year flow. It's a kind of a trial and error methodology with regards to how you control the flows out of there to meet the performance standards set forth in the Wetlands Protection Act.
Read that as it takes time to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, you move a 2-inch orifice, down 2 inches, and all of a sudden, you're a half a CFS out, and you gotta go find that. So.
Where are we on third-party reviewer of this?
I was going to ask you and Steve that. Because was there any further, I'm sorry, the question, if you didn't hear it, was where are we with the third-party reviewer?
That was, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure.
We got your letter of August 13, and in it you talk about the selection of the 53G consultant.
Yes.
And when coming here tonight, we were really eager to hear where that process stood, as you said that was underway, and
yes,
we've been here, we refiled in April, and so we're really hoping, in order to focus all these discussions on these substantive issues and really join the issues with the experts to get them on board, and if we could know where that stood, that would be great.
Sure. And given the fact that we've just received these changes, it's probably timely that we don't actually have that person on board yet. Now they can actually review the updated engineering. So I think the timing is probably very appropriate.
So may I ask to whom the packages have been sent?
They haven't,
Sorry?
These were just received.
Okay, so where are we? I thought you, in your letter, you had mentioned that the selection process was underway for the 53G consultants, and we wanted to just see where that stood.
We don't have anybody yet. It is underway. Steve was missing in action on a well-deserved vacation for 2 weeks, just arrived back.
Just got back.
We're in process. We do not have anybody yet.
Right. So is there an expectation that perhaps by the next hearing, we might have someone in place?
We would certainly hope so.
Yes.
So once, Steve, once the letters go out, the packages go out to the peer review consultants, if we could get notice of that, that would be great.
We will do that.
And that way, we can sort of very promptly tell you, yes, this person is fine, which I suspect will be the case, and then we can get those reviews in and hopefully have a substantive back and forth next month.
That's our plan of action.
A technical back and forth, yes.
Right.
Rather than policy.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. So that was really that was my question.
Given the engineering changes here, I think that
Yeah, makes sense.
it's absolutely appropriate that we need to get that third-party review.
Agreed. Okay, we're back to you.
Yeah, I'd say the only thing that in addition to the letter that we submitted, was the mounding study that you requested.
Yes.
So I took a look at it, and I ran through the same numbers with, I used the Cornell numbers instead of the old numbers, and that also changed the elevations of the 100-year flood for both existing and proposed conditions. But the 12-foot wide culvert, as I run the calculations through, generates a 3-inch mound behind the culvert. And I stand here and I try to model a pier bridge, per se, that would run through my HydroCAD, and it was very difficult to model that particular opening. So I ran a couple of other wider culverts, and it did exactly what I thought it would do. It would reduce the size of the mounting behind it. So I'm willing to, my letter basically stipulates that, you know, if you bridge it, there is no mound.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Right.
Logical sense.
Okay. What else?
That's it.
What about the, and, you know, one of the things
Oh,
that
I'm sorry, as far as, we're looking to contact a construction manager to discuss the submitted, methodology that's been submitted earlier.
Correct.
And a written opinion from him, but at the same time, you guys were gonna get a hold of, somebody that was gonna do the same thing.
Yes, that's correct, but I have a question for you. And that I think I'm going to give a compliment to engineers in general, and I'm not saying this in any way as demeaning to a contractor that's not an engineer. But in your letter, you say, with regard to the constructability review, we will offer the expert testimony of a contractor, which is great on the constructability. But the issue I think that we're going to focus in on is from the perspective of an engineer, is it constructible to sort of draw a laser line down at at the extent of your 5,000 feet, or are we going to expect some kind of, you know, boulder that's going to put you over the edge, or is the soft hydraulic soil going to kind of collapse into the trench? So it's not just constructability. I think you're going to need a professional engineer.
So that's exactly what we understand, and that's exactly what we will address.
Okay. All right, good.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it?
All right, any questions?
I guess the only question I have, Jim, and Steve would probably know as well. In your numbers in terms of the 25-year storm and the 100-year storm, my understanding is we're getting 100-year storms every 10 to 20 years now. So,
Jim disagrees.
You know, I have an answer for that,
Yes.
because, you know, I actually looked it up.
where did you look it up? What is your
Well, I looked at
It does change.
I
Where you
looked
look
at
it up.
the rainfall, the historic rainfalls for the area, right up in Blue Hills has rain gauges that'll tell you that.
That doesn't change. That's not the issue. The issue is, does the definition change? Has it changed over the years?
Well, the thing is,
I
right?
think your
so-
answer is-
Well, what I changed 7 inches in 24 hours. Type 3 storm was a 100-year storm back in 2014. Now it's 8.34, I want to say. 8.34.
24 hours, right.
And we've never had 8 inches of rainfall in 24 hours in this state, anywhere.
We had 7.
No, we didn't. We had 7,
There was
we had
another
close to
definition.
7, 6.9 in 1955.
I'm sorry, I have a non-climate change related question
Sure.
about your bridge design.
Yep.
In your detail, you're showing 12 inches, 1.5 inch crushed stone bed under footing, and then also a compacted subgrade. And so how far does that extend relative to your limit of work? Because in your detail, you have it extending beyond the limit of work.
The construction path is 42 feet wide. The bridge face of wall to wall is 37 feet.
So 42, is that 42 feet, was that what you used for your, so you have to correct the detail then to show that, because here it's extending beyond that.
Okay.
Or at least it's,
Yeah, but
so you're adding,
yeah, it's 42 feet.
Okay.
And that's, you know, the detail,
it just wasn't clear where the crushed stone, that layer of crushed stone and the
it'll be,
compact, what the limits of that are on both sides, and that it was
the crushed
consistent
stone will
with
be
the...
within the limits of the erosion control, and they'll be placing the stone on top of
Within that same footprint.
But now, I'll take a look at the detail and make sure it's accurate.
Okay, thank you. You can resume your climate change.
discussion. Anyway, so your question was?
But, I guess I hear what you're saying, and climate change is certainly an issue, and I think that's what kind of prompted me to, because it's funny, I print out these calcs and glanced at the numbers, and I go, wow, the numbers are wrong. And then I ran through, and it kind of prompted all this paper that you have. I'm just happy the design was, flexible enough to handle that particular increase. I mean, instead of 7, it's a significant volume. And like I say, I'm just happy that we were able to handle it and not alter a significant portion of the plan. That being said, I think we're ready to meet with the peer review engineer and discuss any other concerns you may have.
You had indicated that the bridge would be likely prefabricated. Is the bridge itself?
Yeah, it's a Ready Rock.
Ready Rock is the.
It's not a bridge,
It's
really.
a
I'm sorry, the crossing.
It's a crossing.
So just the
Stone
culvert,
strong.
just the culvert piece is not, the
Precast.
rest of the access roadway is not prefabricated.
The channel itself is prefab, the port in place.
Culvert running parallel to the road, the existing road, Randolph Ave.
Correct.
Is precast. The access road itself is not precast.
Precast retaining walls.
Precast retaining walls. Okay. Just wanted to be clear on what parts were going to come in already made and which ones weren't.
Precast block.
Yep.
Precast block.
Okay, thank you.
And how far does that extend beyond the culvert itself?
It doesn't. So the culvert is fit.
I mean, lengthwise,
It's 37 feet long.
37 feet. And the rest of the road, how do you support the rest of the roadway where you're filling? Coming in off of Randolph Avenue when you're crossing the wetland, I mean, there's more than 37 feet there.
It's 100 feet or something, right? The whole
The
crossing?
whole crossing is 110 feet.
Right, so how do you support the sides of the roadway not at the 37-foot culvert precast?
It's just
It's
fill.
crushed stone.
Yeah, it's, so you're gonna put in your erosion control, first thing. You're gonna excavate out a portion of that. And you're gonna
Mark your limits of work first.
You're basically gonna excavate out, turn, dump it into, truck's gonna
Hold on
take
one
off.
second.
Now the truck's gonna come in and put the stone.
Hang on, Jim.
Magic tape.
Sorry.
Can you say
So-
that again about excavating?
Yeah, so you're gonna have an excavator sitting out, originally at the edge of the wetlands. And they're gonna excavate out, the wetlands, the soil, stockpiling, the good stuff and taking off-site the stuff that you can't use. And then you're gonna bring in the crushed stone. You're gonna bring in the stone, and then you're gonna start setting your stone strong, or whatever product it ends up actually being. But they're all significantly similar.
What size crushed stone, Jim, do you have?
Inch and a half.
Actually, before we get that, so do you have any other access to the site for construction purposes?
No.
This is going to be your only.
Right. So what's the way I see this happening, Hans, is that you're gonna end up building the road, getting the culvert in, building the construction road actually over that, and then coming on site and building the site. One of the last things you're gonna be doing is bringing the utilities out to the road, backfill and building the access road as you go out. That's the way I see it happening.
One of the reasons I asked you the question about, how do you support the lateral support for the roadway, not the precast section of it, is that, we took a look at the bridge on, off of Ford Ranch Road, Wentworth Farms, And as the road leads up to the bridge, there was a significant, drop-off to the wetlands. And the stone was not the size that I expected. I'm not saying it was wrong or bad. It's just that it was not what I expected. And I'm not sure what to expect in terms of how do you support the sides of the roads?
It's got to be by the wall itself. So you're gonna have like an extra stone length sitting there. The fill of the road will be below the top of the wall during construction.
But the wall, I'm talking about the expanse of the roadway beyond the 37 feet of precast. The difference between 110 feet and 37 feet. How do you support that? Do you have a retaining wall to keep the crushed stone?
Oh, you mean as you're heading out?
Retaining wall
Yes.
is precast block for the length.
For the entire length?
For the length of the crossing, and it sits on
Crushed
crushed
stone.
stone.
Okay.
All of it within the 42 feet.
So there's no footing?
No, there's
No,
no, there's
it's
no
on
cast in place
crushed
footing, no.
No footings?
That's right.
It sits on stone.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that previously. I did see that. But is
I've got walls that are 40 feet high.
but the level of the road is still going to be above the existing elevation, the existing wetlands,
Right.
Yes.
right?
So-
Retaining
So
wall
that's the retaining wall, the block sitting on
Right,
crushed
and so
stone.
you're gonna have that, and then you're gonna have the erosion control outside of that. And then as you creep out, if you're kind of worried about the control at the end of it, it's the erosion control at the end that will take care of that.
And how high does that, and I know it's in the plans, but how high does that wall go above the level of the roadway?
At the end? Or-
During the entire length of the roadway?
Oh, so you're talking the reveal above the wetlands?
Yeah, no, above the level of the road, does the
6
retaining
inches.
wall extend?
Yeah.
Or is it just?
I wanna say
it's
6
railing
inches.
or something
So it's like, this. Okay. So how do you prevent a truck from driving off the side?
There's guardrails.
On top of the wall?
Correct.
Okay. Good. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns?
No, I think this discussion will be a lot more
Instructive when we have a
valid.
consultant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
So we'll look for the letter to the peer reviewer and we'll be ready to go.
Yes, but before you leave, are there any questions from abutters or members of the public? Questions, concerns, comments? Hearing none, then we'll continue with your consent. We'll adjourn this until, what's the next date? October
15th.
15th, October 15th.
Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. Yep.
Okay, next on the agenda, number 4, notice of intent, 166 Granite Avenue. Continued?
Continued, we have a letter in the file, letter request to continue to 15th October.
All right, any objection to continuing? Hearing none, that's continued. Number 5, request for certificate of compliance, 422 Brook Road. Continued hearing?
We have a letter from the architect saying things are done in substantial compliance with the plans. And that should be in your package.
But no plan.
We got the plan last month. Did you look at the plan? Maybe we didn't have a plan.
I don't think so.
I do
I
not
thought
remember.
last month you had the plan, but no letter.
Right.
Yeah, I believe
We had
that
the
that
plan,
was
but
it.
no letter. That's correct. Thank
So
you.
we probably have
I just lost it today.
Yeah.
422.
Even better.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So all we were doing is asking for the letter to go.
Yeah, that's my memory.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Let me just make sure
in
we
fact,
got
you
that.
can take a vote now on that request.
So this is a certificate of compliance, right?
Yes, COC request.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Notice of intent.
I'll need to see 422. I'm missing a person. Number 6.
And do we have an as-built for this?
I thought we had that last month.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I
I thought we
thought,
looked at
too.
it last month, too.
Yes.
And this was all we were missing, was the letter from the engineer.
Well, no, if we had an as-built, you're right, that's what we were missing.
Yeah.
But I don't think we had an as-built. I know we had the request for the certificate of compliance.
Yes, so in,
I just didn't know if there was, and we've done it
so
in the
yeah,
past.
we've
without-
allowed the letter in
Yes,
lieu of
an
the
as-built.
as-built
Yeah,
plan.
yeah.
So this should be sufficient, provided we have the request.
We do. The request is in my hand, and the certificate from Joseph G. Genduso, who was the architect, substantiates the compliance with our order of conditions. Any questions? Any abutters? Yes.
Question?
Yes.
So are you about to approve a request for compliance without an as-built?
Well, that's what we're talking about right now, because let me hang on a second, because I was just going through the plans.
And could you identify yourself?
Oh, sure, I'm Patty Drove. I live on Hillside.
And you know what?
I live on Hillside Street.
Oh, okay.
She has an issue coming up.
Yeah, so the stamped engineering letter is sufficient on the liability.
This was a very small project. It was a small patio outside of home.
Right, the deck and kitchen work.
And the rest of that project was interior to the structure itself. Kitchen remodel. It's a very small patio. It's probably as big as a stage.
Right, we do not have it. What's that?
I did take a look at the location as well.
All right. Yeah, you are correct. We do not have an as-built. All right, so any other questions, comments? Is everyone comfortable issuing a certificate of compliance?
Yeah, particularly considering how small the job was, in fact.
All right, any other thoughts, questions? Is there a motion to issue the certificate of compliance?
So moved.
Yes.
Okay, is there a second? Is there any discussion?
He just made a mistake here, so I just was going to correct it. The building code, effective, but he means effective with an E, of course, in effect at the time, so. Not the affect, but effective.
Okay.
So, just a typo,
A typo, that's true.
so that's all.
Anything else? But there's a second. Is there any discussion besides that? All in favor? All opposed?
I'll abstain.
It's not like you not to speak your mind, Arthur.
I wanted the as-built.
Oh, we could require that. I mean, if,
Well, it's all right. I'll go with the majority of the Conservation Commission based upon the discussion, but that was what I put on, when I mentioned earlier the plan, I was referencing an as-built. But, it's a small job, so I'll just abstain.
okay. All right, done. So next on the agenda is, let me just bury it. Request for compliance, certificate of compliance, 118 Forbes Road.
Mr. Chairman, reminding everyone and myself about this, there was some knotweed on the site,
Yes.
and the knotweed has been removed. I was there yesterday. Mrs. Keith was supposed to have been here tonight. to chat with us about it. Also, you had a question regarding plantings on the adjacent property that I had not noticed on my first visit.
Yes.
I went there yesterday, and the plantings are indeed on the adjacent property and growing very well down along the funicular, as was required. One cautionary note, however, I told Mrs. Keith that I found Japanese knotweed on the adjacent property that will soon travel to hers. So I asked her to talk with her neighbors. And
Same side?
Same side, yes. On the, if you look on the plan, it will be up on the upside.
Right.
The river is off, and the river and estuary is off to the right-hand side of the plan. So if you look up toward the higher side, the funicular is literally right here.
Right.
Right in this location.
And I've seen a lot of plantings here myself.
Exactly. But there's also knotweed mixed in with those plantings, that's all. So I asked her to chat with her neighbor and even perhaps support that activity if the neighbor doesn't wish to, because they will soon be on her property as well. And she was amenable to that, very amenable.
Okay.
I was very happy to see the quick work regarding removing the knotweed.
All right. And does everybody remember, we did have at a public meeting a discussion about this property, and I think that was the only
That's right.
holdup that we had.
Exactly.
And you've now confirmed that. Were there any other concerns that were expressed, or that people have now?
Just another note, in that area that was a meadow,
Yes.
meadow flowers, there have been deer nesting there, sleeping in the meadow.
As deer are wont to do. Yeah, it is, it is. Is there anything else? And is there a consensus to issue a certificate of compliance?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
You still hung up on that vernacular.
You know how I feel, I have
do.
not changed my opinion.
All right. I should have asked, are there any questions or comments from abutters or members of the public? I see none, I hear none. There was a motion, was seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? All right. All opposed? Okay. Get the count? Good.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is request for certificate of compliance, 375 Hillside Street. Good evening and welcome.
I'm Patty Drove. I live at 375 Hillside Street.
Good evening and welcome. And you are looking for a certificate of compliance, and can you just describe the project, please?
Sure. So we put on an addition to an existing property. Because of that, we had to move the driveway to the left. The property is within, part of the property is within 100 feet of the stream, so that's what brought us to find people. And work is done. We did what we were supposed to do. We put in the dry wells. We did a number of plantings. We did actually less than what we thought we were going to do. So in terms of construction, the addition's smaller than it was originally planned to be. We didn't put in a landing in front of the barn, but we did the work, so we just want to close it out.
And Mr. Chairman, I noted that from the proposed plan to the as-built plan, there are many items that don't correspond, and there was no list of what those items were. So I had a discussion with Ms. Drew before the meeting regarding having the engineer provide a list of those items that were not included that were changed, there were changes. For example, the addition on the house, on the westerly side of the house, is about half of the addition that was as proposed. That wasn't even noted by the
It's
engineer.
smaller than...
It's smaller,
Yes.
yeah. So there are a number of items that I noted on the plan that had changed from the proposed plans, and I went through some of the items with the applicants earlier tonight.
Well, I've only got the as-built. Can you just kind of walk us through what the other ones are?
Sure. Let's see.
Patty, how long have you been there?
About 4 years.
4 years.
It took a while to do the construction, so we've owned it 4 years, but we haven't lived there 4 years.
I lined them out in pink here on this plan. For example, the addition is half the size of the addition. This was not done. This was not done. This tree line is a different location. The plantings that were proposed in this area here, they ended up all over the place. And Judith, you had some involvement with approving plantings?
I had a discussion with Patty about a week ago saying that our standard is if they could not accommodate a tree, they could do 3 shrubs instead. So I believe
Yep,
3
that's what we do.
shrubs are supposed to be substituted if they
For
were...
the 16 trees. I'm not sure if that was done. I didn't make a count of
Okay.
the shrubs. So they need to, you know.
That's all
engineers-
marked on the as-built. All those trees and shrubs that we planted are
Right, but
marked.
they need to actually list them.
It should be listed on there.
I don't see them
I
on
didn't see
this.
it.
Well,
Well, they're written on there. Maybe they're not in a
It just-
list, but they are written on there.
They should have a list. If the
Okay, we
list
can
would
do a
be-
list.
Yeah,
No problem.
that's all. That's all I'm suggesting, is just a list.
How many trees altogether did you not plant and put shrubs instead?
Believe there were 7.
So you added 21 shrubs instead.
Altogether, we did 7 bushes, and the rest is a combination of trees and bushes, all adding up to 18. We planted 18 and 4 actually died. I planted 3 dogwoods and just couldn't get it to live, and 1 pine that didn't live. So we planted all that we were requested to plant. Some of them died, 4 of them died, but everything else living.
I'm getting lost on the plantings. Are these replacements for removal of trees? Or is
So
this-
there were 6 trees on the property when we bought it, and, well, there were many trees on the property when we bought it. We had to remove 6 because of where their proximity was where the addition was going to go. And there were a couple that were like really close to the house or the barn. So those that were safety issues were removed, and then there were a couple along the line where the addition was going to go. Those were removed. So 6 trees were removed. We planted 18 plants, a mixture of trees and bushes.
The math
all
doesn't,
native
the
to
math
the
doesn't add to me.
plan.
Do you understand that mathematical
There's
equation?
a-
It doesn't-
6
looks like-
times 3 is 18. We planted 18.
And 3 times, or 1 times 3 is 3. If you take a tree out, you plant 3 bushes instead of 1 tree. You've done a combination of 18. That math doesn't add. How many trees did you plant?
I have to add it up. List at home. All but 7. There are 7 bushes, and whatever the remainder would be trees, I believe. I have a list.
So you said previously that 7 trees were not planted, that you were obligated to plant? Is that right?
Yes, yes. Oh, so you're saying 3 bushes for 1 tree?
Yes,
Oh, see, I took it as there were 6 trees that were taken down, so we had to do a total of 18. That's what I understood. 3 bushes for 1 tree.
It's tree, there are 3 trees for 1 tree. Trees go together.
Right, we took down 6,
So you have to replace 18 trees.
yes, and because
Trees.
18 plants
No.
is what I took it to mean when I spoke to you. So
Yeah,
what you're
so-
saying, for every tree we didn't plant,
They're supposed to be
there's supposed to be 3 for every shrubs.
If you don't
If
put
you
it-
don't plant a
So the-
tree, then you have to replace the tree with 3 shrubs.
Okay.
Or 9 shrubs for
Or you
one
can-
original tree. Is
And
that
I
correct?
also said,
That's
or you
correct.
can donate to the town $500 per tree, and that's the other option. That you can give the tree bank $500 for each tree. So the 7 trees, you could give the town $3,500.
Or I can plant 21 bushes.
Yes.
So how many trees were planted?
I don't know.
Do you know how many?
Have you been to our property? There
how
are a
many?
million
Now,
trees.
we're trying to work with you here.
Yeah,
But
sure.
it's just that we try to be consistent and
Sure.
uniform.
Yep.
So I'm still stuck on, how many new trees did you plant?
Should have brought my list.
Because what I'm
We had
reading on
4
your...
that died. We had redbud. We had 2 viburnum. We had 4 arborvitae. 2, 3. So, I thought we had 11. Oh, no, 7, and then 4 died. So we planted 11 altogether. So that left 6 that we didn't plant. So I put in, 7, that's 7. So I put in 7 bushes, thinking 1 bush per tree.
If they die, you have to replace them. You know, it isn't just that you can plant them and let them die. So we say 3 years is our standard, so 3 growing seasons. After that, if they die, it's beyond.
Okay.
But if they died right away, you have to replace them.
Okay.
And if they die right away, oftentimes the nursery will.
Yeah, it wasn't
replace them
right
in
away.
their-
It was like 2 seasons, I would say. I tried really hard to get them to grow, but they just wouldn't.
Didn't want to.
They just, I don't, yeah, they're,
Especially the native
I
tones.
don't know.
No.
There's a.
I mean, I'm a plant person. I take care of all our plants. We transplanted when we put the driveway in. I had professionals come and transplant all of Mr. Fiedler's plants throughout the property to preserve them. So couldn't grow dogwoods.
Sometimes they just don't cooperate.
No, they don't.
On the as-built, I'm just a little confused because all the plantings that I see here are existing plantings as opposed to what I would expect to say new plantings.
Oh, they should have said new. So we planted 3 clethra, 2, clethra, 9 bark.
Arborvitae's.
How many 9 bark?
See.
9 bark, 3 clethra, 2 itea, and 2 before. Those were the 7 newest ones that I did.
So for example, there's an area here of a cloud that says existing plantings that doesn't have a number associated with it. So if there were any new plantings inside of that, or what that consists of. it
Those
really
are
could-
mostly the plants that I transplanted from the left
Already
of the
there.
driveway when we first did the project.
Okay.
I transplanted
And-
over there.
And the 2 Thuya ostentalis, are those new at the back of the house?
They've been there a couple years.
Okay, so that wasn't part of the,
No, I planted them. That was part of trying to meet the 18 trees. I planted them.
and so this is the reason we're trying to get an idea of what went in versus.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just to
Yep,
clarify.
So 2 there, 2 by the front door. There's 2 viburnum in front of the barn.
These are all shrubs you're talking about, they're not trees. Viburnum and clethra are shrubs, they're not trees.
Yes, those are. Well, these viburnums are, they're
A shrub, it's not a
The
tree.
viburnums aren't trees.
Okay. They look like those. I thought they were trees.
Can we get, I mean, I'm getting confused looking at what says
I asked for a
existing.
list.
we just need a
Basically, the
list,
engineer
yeah.
should just provide us a list,
Correct.
Right.
and then if Ms. Drews wants to either pay money into the fund or
Which might be
plan.
the easiest thing to do, is just to
Yes.
pay money into the fund. but
Exactly.
Whatever you want to do.
But I think they should provide a list, just have the list include how many new plantings and their sizes, that's all.
And can I also make a comment? Grady Consulting comes in fairly frequently, and they're pretty good.
Yes, exactly.
I've got
I was
respect for them.
very surprised. But I even asked for a digital copy of the previous plan that you folks approved in 2015, and I did not get that today. I got only the as-built in digital copy that's behind you.
All right, so if you could give us a list, and can you call them and say, you know, we want...
Listen,
I
an
think
indication, because it
it's-
seems like some of those ones that are marked existing are in fact new based on what you said. It seems like
Right.
that plan that we got was
An old plan.
many flaws.
Because remember, John, behind the garage, they were putting in the hot tub, so that's not existing.
Right.
That was new. This is something new that you...
I think what they're calling existing is when they went out to survey
Right.
everything,
Oh,
so,
existing at this time?
yeah.
I think
Which
there was
is
a
not-
miscommunication
Yeah.
in the office or to the survey folks. Yeah. So I'd be happy to follow up.
Yeah, I'd actually like a new ladder. I don't have a problem. I'm thrilled that if the addition is small, that's great.
Yeah, it sounds like
I don't think it'll be a
positive.
problem, but it just doesn't really reflect the as-built. Or it doesn't reflect the currently existing conditions with what was approved. And there seems to be some differences, and the engineer really should point those out.
Exactly.
I don't think it'll be a problem for you, but I think for our record keeping, we should insist upon an accurate recitation of what was built.
Indeed.
Okay. All right, so why don't we continue this until, I mean, you don't need this for financing or anything, do you?
Well, I need it for the sale of my home. My home is going to close on October 10th. We're selling our
Before the
home.
next meeting.
What's that?
It's before our next meeting.
What do we have a sidewalk?
Not yet.
What do we have on the agenda?
Not yet. Let's take a look. 71 Forest, no. We may wish to look at 1455 Canton Ave.
Where's 1455? That's not Arthur.
That's just... The
informational one.
Right. Right, we may wish to look at that. You may wish to look at that
What is
site.
1455?
We're going to request a sidewalk.
Good, okay.
Okay.
So we are sensitive to the sale of your house.
Yep.
So we're going to have another public meeting between now and the 10th of October. And we can vote, as long as we can dot the i's and cross the t's, we'll be able to vote right there. It's a public meeting. We don't have a date yet, but if we anticipate a site walk, can you look at your calendars and... I don't think I'm trying that.
We might ask if there's a proposed date for a site walk for 1455.
Ned, do you have a proposed date by chance?
The best one for me would be the morning of October 5.
Is that a Saturday?
I mean, it is, yeah.
October 5 is good with me.
Yeah, I think I can make it
I'm
work
out
as well.
tomorrow.
I'm out of town.
I am as well.
3. So, that's
Good
not,
for
By
me.
Jerry, we don't know if Jerry can.
I don't know about Jerry. What, alternative dates, back it up a week?
Back it up a week
Is that the 20?
28th.
28th September.
I'm okay.
I'm not okay this Sunday.
Okay.
First time I can do it is
But I
the 12th,
think-
but that's too late.
I can do the 12th.
But what about the 28th? I'm just counting now, I'm just counting quorum.
28th, I'm good.
I can't do the 28th.
I can't.
Two noes. Arthur, can you do the 28th?
Yes.
Hans?
I think I can, yes.
28th?
No, can't do it.
3 no. So we're still looking for a quorum.
Right.
So what are our,
Jerry?
21?
what's,
21 is this weekend.
Yeah, I can't do this
Yeah,
one.
we wouldn't get the notice out in time.
Right, that's right.
The notice
Boxed
wouldn't-
in on that.
on the notice? We can get a notice out, it's 48 hours.
Can you push the closing back? Is there any chance you can push it back a couple of days?
I'd rather not.
It's, what'd you say was the,
October 10th.
10th,
And
all right.
they, they need it, I think, before then.
Can we see if Jerry's available? Because that would give us 4.
Yes, if we had 4, we could do it.
Yeah.
The 28th?
What time on the 5th? I'm looking at,
Yeah, we
8
don't,
o'clock.
well,
Oh, if you want to change it, we
better
can make it
time.
anytime we want.
okay, no, I can probably make the early morning one on the 5th. By shifting, which I can easily do. So I'll be available until
Should we
5.
poll the 5th again?
Yes. How many can do the 5th?
Oh, okay.
2,
We got
3,
4.
We got 4.
All right,
Good.
October 5th.
October 5.
Okay, 8 o'clock will be at your house?
1455.
Well, but we're trying to,
Yeah.
we're trying to have a meeting, I guess we don't have to go to the house, or do we?
provided all the information is received, I don't think we necessarily do have to go
Yeah,
to.
I'm going to get that list to you on Friday, so.
All right,
We
so-
discussed it before the meeting.
All right, so you get the list, you're going to call Grady Consulting, and
And I'm sure
fix the letter?
the applicant will call it Grady
I've
Consulting.
already left them a message and an email. I'll be speaking with them as soon as we can.
All right,
So I just want to make sure I have it straight. So you want a list of all the plants that have been planted.
Right.
And any changes structurally that are different from the drawing they gave back in the original submittal.
That's correct.
So the house is smaller, there's no propane tank, there's no back deck, there's no this, there's no that, a list. Okay.
that's correct.
Okay,
And your list of planting should match that, I mean, you have our standard there, so if it's, 6 trees removed, 18 trees replaced, and if you're going to shift a tree for shrubs, it's a 3 to 1?
yeah, so I need to come up with some more shrubs, or a check for $500 a tree.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
$500 a new tree, not an old tree.
You lost on that one.
They're new trees.
Well, no. You said
You're
you were-
saying for the 4 that died, I have to accommodate for those as well.
Right.
Appreciate if there could be some leniency on that one.
Well, what died? Trees or shrubs?
Trees, 3 dogwoods and 1, I think it was a black pine. So 4 trees died. Black pine, white pine, I forget what it was. It was a pine.
Okay. Any sense of, I mean, we don't want to change our...
I'd like to see the list first.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd like to see, frankly, I'd like
Okay,
to see the
why
list.
don't we do it that way? Get the list in and include the number of, shrubs that you intend on buying or trees, whichever you choose.
Okay.
Okay, get that to Steve, and then we can resolve this when we meet, because we'll have additional information at that time.
She has my,
All right, good.
here's my card.
Any other questions, comments, or can we move on? That it? Do you have any other questions for us? Nope, good to go, all right.
Thank you for your
All right, thank you very much.
October 5. Thanks for coming in.
All right, thank you very much. Next on the agenda is 71 Forest Street. Request for certificate of compliance.
That was a Mr. Collins project. I will put it up on the board to remind you, you visited there early this summer. I'm just going to find the right location here. And that's number, what is it, number 8 here on the list, is that correct? Forest Street, COC request, oh, that's the request, that's not the plan, right? I was there earlier today. Was it today or yesterday? I've forgotten. They run together too much. But anyway, everything was done really well. The site was stabilized.
This the one with the long
That's
pump?
correct. Yep.
Pipe to pump?
Yep, the site was stabilized very fine. I spoke to one of the people who lives in the house. It's all working very well. Forest Street COC request, I can't see the board. 8A, is that the plan? That may be the plan. There's the plan right there. Okay, I'll enlarge it as well, so you can see a little bit better. Wendy, were you on this one?
Yeah, I was on this one, so.
Okay, Judith was there.
This is a
Forest
long
Street is
call.
over here, at the very northwest corner here, northeast corner, I should say, Forest Street, and then there's Forest Lane that goes on behind the house. The house is here. The septic system comes out of the house and to a tank here, and I believe it's pumped all the way around to a leaching field that was pre-existing, believe it or not, right there. It had been built before. Yeah, it was a long haul, and they did a very good job of going onto some fences, alongside some trees that they did not disturb. It was, it was a very nice job, in my opinion.
That's good. And we have the stamp here from George Collins that the subsurface disposal system has been constructed in compliance with the approved design plans and all local requirements. And any changes to the design have been reflected in the as-built. But are you aware of any changes? This is as I anticipated.
Right, this was as proposed.
Okay. All right. Any questions on commissioners as to compliance or proof thereof? Any butters, members of the public with any questions? Seeing none, hearing none, is there a motion to issue the certificate of compliance?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Good to go. Thank you very much. Next.
Is that your second? Thank you.
Next on the agenda is informational 753 Blue Hill Avenue. What is 753 Blue Hill
You
Avenue?
said it was the Milton Housing Authority. I didn't know, what do we have on Blue Hill?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's 753. Oh, they're not here?
Mr. Crispin is not here tonight. I don't
I'll be
see
down.
him. I'm surprised.
This,
What do we have on Blue Hill Avenue?
that's the Milton Housing. You know, where Dr. Rex lives. Remember we did one about, what, within the last year, or around a year ago? we did
Just
the
before my
roadway.
time, 2 years plus.
Oh, okay.
The roadway coming in, and it was flooding, it was overtopping the road,
Oh, okay.
and we had to design some water calculations because
Is that number 9?
the water's going under, there was a culvert that was blocked under the drive-in, it's a private drive. Some of it was going over the top, and then it was ending up going into, it crosses Blue Hill Avenue.
Yes, okay.
Anyway, it's a very sensitive area. In fact, I'm going to date myself, but in 1993, I remember doing the original order of conditions.
That's exactly when the wetlands line over here on the left-hand side of the board, he took the 1993 wetlands line and put it on this plan, and I had recommended to him in the field when we were out there to have it flagged. He did not do that. Okay? Sorry, folks, but... So there's a wetland line. He says the proposed work is 120 feet from the wetlands line, but the wetlands were done in 1993. I have personally a problem with that.
So, yeah, the request from the letter from the Milton Housing Authority is hopefully the commission will not see the need to file an RDA. I do see the need to file an RDA. It's an extremely sensitive area. We've had a number of applications there that were concerning. There's a lot of flooding in the area. And I think one of the sources of the water comes from those with a memory of Ballston Brook being rerouted back in the 50s, I guess. I don't know what had happened. That caused some drainage issues around Bradley Road, and this water ends up right where this house is. That water coming from Bradley Road. So it's a significant and sensitive area, so I would suggest that the Housing Authority actually file an RDA.
I'd also like to request a plan that can be read. Besides the next plan.
Right.
Do you agree?
And I had a hard time reading it, but some of the general construction notes, I've got some problems with these notes. It's like, let me see, one of them here.
Is he really
the
using a
system,
line from 1993?
That's what it says on the plan.
Yeah.
and it should be, one of the notes says that the system should be ASTM
Yeah, that is absurd.
compliant as modified by Presby. I have no idea who's modifying the ASTM plans.
I can't read any.
There are some other provisions there that additional inspections may be required by the Board of Health. I'd like to see a bigger plan too, but I think.
Yeah, and there's no stamp
These
on
are
this plan.
concerning construction notes to me. I've got notes all over these, to the extent that I could read them.
John, there's no stamp on the plan either.
Time for a vote.
All right. Steve, so can you reach out to Milton Housing and request that they file?
I'll reach out to the engineer, not the housing.
Yeah, perfect, okay, good. Perfect, thanks. All right,
May I suggest a vote?
to require an RDA. Sure. Is there well, first of all, are there any abutters, members of the public that have a question, comment, suggestion? Hearing none. Is there a motion to require that the Milton Housing Authority file an RDA? So moved, Arthur? Is there a second? Second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor? Good. So we require an RDA. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
This brings us to last on the list, 1455 Canton Avenue. This is an informational session.
And I do have some graphics now. Just find them, okay? Okay. Thank you for your patience.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening. Chairman, members of the commission, Ned Corcoran, on behalf of Tom Finnegan, who's the owner of the property at 1455 Canton Avenue, and Jim Burke.
There we go. What's that?
Good evening, all.
This is we thought we'd start with an informational meeting and a site walk before we get into filing anything. This is a property that is out at the far end of Canton Avenue. The Balster Brook passes through the property. It's culverted under Canton Avenue. It comes out of the culvert into daylights onto the Finnegan property. It culverts back under a tennis court and daylights again before it goes off the property. There are two sort of fundamental things that we're thinking about. One is there are a set of invasive maples that are right on the edge of the bank within feet of the house that we'd like to remove for the preservation of the house. But want to do that, but before we do that, wanted to meet with the commission and have a site walk to show you what the condition is. The other is that the swimming pool that you see is an older swimming pool, and the Finnegans would like to remove that. That's also within the 25-foot setback from the edge of the brook. So before we start getting into engineering plans and coming back with a formal filing, we thought to have trees that are sort of right along this edge of bank, overhanging the dwelling here, and this old swimming pool is just off of the edge of the bank here. Balster Brook flows through, daylights here onto their property, comes back under this tennis court, and daylights again as it goes off toward the northwest here. And so before we get into, as I said, plans to remove trees, a plan to remove this swimming pool and replace it with plantings, we thought we'd have obviously an informational session, a site walk, and then get some preliminary thoughts from the members of the commission about the best way to approach that combination of work.
About how many Norway maples are there?
Half a dozen at least.
There's probably 5 or
Half a dozen?
6.
6, okay.
And you sure they're Norway?
Oh, yes.
And they are
You've been
older.
there?
I've been there a couple times.
Okay.
Older ones dying at the top, that type of Norway maple. Should we show up with our chainsaws?
We'd be happy to have
Arthur, you're killing me. You know I love those maples.
I've got an extra chainsaw for you, John.
That's an old joke between the two of them.
We love Norway maples, John especially.
So I think you suggested
We suggested a meeting, it sounded like October 5th.
That sounds good
Yeah.
to us.
O'clock in the morning would be good, that's good for us. Mr. Finnegan won't be there, but the rest of us will, and we'll be able to take notes.
Tag or stake out or whatever the trees that you'd like to remove, that'd be useful as well.
What's,
Tag or stake out, tag the trees.
oh, yeah, absolutely.
That you'd like to remove, that'd be perfect.
Not a problem.
Right?
And so what are you thinking of with the pool? Is it just going to be restored to,
Just lawn.
Sure.
Yeah, there's lawn, right now there's lawn to the right of it as you're looking at it from here. So I would just propose to make it all grass.
And construction access looks like you can come right from the driveway, right?
Straight down.
Straight down.
You know, I had a contractor come out and look at it, and that was, his thought was, at the end of the driveway, there's just a couple of bushes, you could take those out and take a truck straight, it would be a straight shot right from the driveway, right to the pool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
And for the time being, no plans to do anything with the tennis court.
Is that like a property line going through the tennis court?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it? So do you share that with the neighbor, or do you have the other?
This is the old,
Well, I don't think it's the property line, hopefully it's not.
well, this is the town.
It's a GIS.
GIS.
So it's
Town
not,
GIS, that's right.
This was formerly Jim Mullins.
Those are Jimmy Mullins' chicken coops right there, no longer there. But
And this is the old Driscoll.
Oh,
Dr.
sure.
Driscoll estate. So Tom was married to Duncan Driscoll.
All right, well, that all makes sense, so we look forward to seeing you on October 5th at 8 AM?
I'm gonna be out of town,
No.
but if these guys can do it, if that's the only date that works, but I'll make sure I mark them before the trees that I'm interested in with some yellow tape. I can do that.
Whatever
it's
color
pretty
you like.
obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're licking the house. I mean, they're right up against it.
Okay.
That's true. I've seen it.
All right, good news.
All right.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you for
gentlemen.
coming in.
Which leads us to number 11, additional business.
Yes, number 1, 50 Sumner Street. You had asked me to take a look at the plans for appropriateness of plantings. We got some plans yesterday, maybe. They aren't appropriate yet. I think there was a communication difficulty between the consultants and the people who live there. So I will assist. I will follow up. Hopefully at your next meeting, I'll be able to report it's okay. Number 2.
Do you think you could do that by the 5th? Because they're gonna run out of time for planting.
Absolutely,
This
yes.
is-
Right.
Yes. So, yeah, absolutely. I will talk with them tomorrow or the next day.
Perfect.
The engineers. I'll just talk to the engineers.
Okay.
And we'll go direct rather than through people whose normal first language is not English. That's all. Number 2,
So we'll put that on the agenda for the 5th as well.
yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And that should go on the notice for publication.
Thank you, yes, we'll put that, right. Number 2, you all received the RAM plan and the SWIP for our favorite project, Zero Central and 131
I think you sent the
Elliott.
SWIP twice.
Oh, did I?
Yeah,
Not the RAM plan?
not the ramp plan.
Thank you. I'm sorry about that.
It's all right.
It's been
It's a
very
lot
busy.
lot of data, so the SWIP's.
Okay, so send RAM plan out
I
again.
was wondering, because I tried to open it and send it to work where I could print it, and it said I got a weird message
It's gonna be like
saying-
300 pages long.
Yeah, I got a weird message saying, would you like to use some other program? I didn't know what it was all about, so I said, what?
Okay, sorry. So we'll take care of that. So that's in the offing. Let me see. 151 Woodland Street has started developing. They've started actually going down through the rock and blasting rock.
I'm sorry, Steve.
The
did you say-
151?
151 Woodland.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Sullivan?
Oh, no, I know that. I thought it was 157. I was just, in my
okay.
mind, that's just...
151 Woodland.
Okay.
Yep. I was out at 1072 Brush Hill Road, checking on that project. And they've cut down the big beech tree. They've taken the brush out, and they were supposed to come today or tomorrow to start excavating for the leaching field. You remember that one? That was a beautiful large beech tree that they had to take out for the leaching field. So that's ongoing as well. Let me see, anything else of import? 7 Wagon Wheel, all their plantings are in. It doesn't look like they're putting in their wall. Remember the brick wall they were gonna build?
Yes.
No choice of it.
That was the one with the plantings where we had asked them to move the lawn back towards the house and give us more wetland plantings?
That's correct.
Okay.
And it looks like they've done that. So and they just put another seed, another set of lawn seed on it. They had done it a month and a half ago.
Too hot.
Must have been. Another set of lawn seed just came on, and now they're watering it like mad.
It's the best time of the year.
Exactly, exactly. I think those are the highlights. Are there any questions you may have on other sites that we've been through in the past few months?
Can you go back to Henry's for a minute and just give us an update to the best of your knowledge about remediation going on for the drawing spill?
That is complete, as far as I understand. I don't even know, I wasn't by there in the past 2 days, so I don't know what the conditions are on the site itself.
Okay.
But I know they're complete with their work with regard to remediation work. They might have stuff still under plastic, but I went by the site, but I didn't notice. I was taking a corner.
Okay.
So when you take a corner, you just...
Right. Yeah, it's hard to see through that
Absolutely.
shading.
Right, sorry. Yeah, so we'll take a look at the ramp plan.
Okay.
And John Thompson is going to have to approve the SWIP as well.
Oh, the town engineer.
Town engineer, right. Okay. Which is good.
Sure.
Which is a good thing, because that's, he has lots of experience reading them as well. I had provided Mr. Higgins a number of copies of example SWIPs from the Naval Air Station that were good SWIPs, okay? So I'm sure he did not reinvent the wheel. Are there any other sites that I should review with you that you have questions about?
What are we waiting for on, is it 166 Granite Avenue?
166 Granite, they asked to...
I know, but what are we waiting for?
They did not take any samples of the pre-existing fill that was there,
At the end of the driveway.
Exactly, that formed that little drive area, that they never permitted either. So there was some fill that they never permitted, just in case you hadn't seen the site. And then they added more fill. The fill was, I don't know, a couple of years old perhaps, the old fill.
Is that the same owner, or was the initial fill from a previous owner?
Probably a previous owner.
I had that.
Good question.
I just wanted to...
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So previous owner, some fill, and then the new owner, some really bad fill.
Yeah, that was bad.
Right.
I see it every morning as I sit on Granite Avenue. Look at it.
In traffic, right, exactly.
Just sit and watch it.
Right. So they neglected to take another sample or two of the previous.
That's at 5 a.m.
Right, exactly. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
We go back to Cunningham for just a moment?
Yes.
I don't want to speak for Hans, but we had a little bit of a sidebar about what was being suggested on the left-hand side of that road. And with compacting and beveling, maybe some of that could work along with grassing and plantings to the advantage if that's...
Is there a drop-off at the roadway? Is that what you're really trying to address?
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes
Yeah,
it's
so
dangerous.
If it's something that could get vegetated, then, that's...
If it's within reason.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll take a look at it when I'm out there.
Okay.
But you noticed probably a drop-off, right? Right at the roadway edge, right?
My mind's, it's a little irregular.
Okay.
but it used to be irregular.
Right, there's a lot of fill in there now.
That's right.
Okay, we'll take a look at it. Sure, that's a good suggestion.
So that would eliminate that irregularity of the past.
Okay. All right.
And people.
I won't tell you why I know about it.
Oh, there's a story.
Always a story.
Offline. Offline, later.
If anybody else is interested, I've been requested, told by my boss that I'm going to be attending MACC in the fall, so.
October 5th?
19th.
19th. I knew it was one of those weekends.
So it's at Devon's, so I'll be there if anyone else wants to go.
Yeah, let's go
Where is
together.
it? Is it at Holy Cross?
Devon's.
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 Holy Cross is the March, yeah, annual thing. This is, what's the scope of this training?
So there's a section on native plants and pollinators, which I just missed the cutoff date to actually present. So I won't be presenting.
Can you send me the announcement?
Sure.
Okay.
Also, section urban forests, buffer zones. So, and then they have the regular fundamentals for commissioners.
Where did this come from?
Kathy
I
Bull.
ordered it.
Oh,
It was recommended, so we ordered that. You want to take it home for a while?
I'd love to.
Sure.
I'd
Yeah,
love
we'll
to.
pass it around.
Okay, that'd be great.
Kathy also provided me a copy.
Yeah, I know, right? It looks like a really great resource, and then it's current, it was just
It is,
published.
yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, it's very nice, very nicely done.
With that said, I think we're done. All right, motion to adjourn?
Amen.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Good. Unanimous. Steve, make sure that...